Good afternoon, YouTubers. Welcome back in to another edition of Astros Recap. David Artis once again here to break things down for you. Not my usual day, not my usual time. It is Tuesday, September 15th, 2:21 p.m. Astros had the off day yesterday, played tonight at 7, so haven't missed anything really, except the 7 games I'll recap here in just a few minutes over the past week. Of course, a 5-game set with Oakland and a 2-game set with the LA Dodgers. Off day Friday. Weird week. Usually don't have that off day on Friday, but the Astros, they had one of those last year, and they had a 2-game set with LA, I believe, in Mexico, and then this year they just had it. Just a weird. Friday's always a weird off day. Teams usually don't have that, so. But they had in the 5-game series, Monday through Thursday. A lot of weird baseball this year just because of the 60-game season and the coronavirus and everything that's gone on. So a lot of weird, but, just enjoy the game, I guess, when it's out there and being played and you're watching. So anyway, Astros do not have a good week at all. I remember talking to you last Sunday, I want to say, and talking about taking 3 of 5 in Oakland, which still wouldn't be good enough for them to win the division, but I was even thinking, if I said 3 of 5, I was thinking maybe 4 of 5, which is really hard to ask for, and then splitting sort of in LA also added that to the 3 and 5 in Oakland. They don't do either really. They actually do split in LA, but they don't take 3 of 5. They don't even take 2 of 5. I think they take 1 of 5. So the Astros really struggling. You close the book on Oakland for the year. The Astros go 3 and 7 against them. They close the book against the Angels the week prior, and they go 4 and 6 against them, playing each of our divisional opponents 10 times. But the Astros, the last 3 years, the Astros have dominated their division. Whether it's been the Rangers, whether it's been the Mariners, Angels, A's, they've dominated their division. And this year it just hasn't. We still have to play the Rangers. We'll win the season series against the Rangers. I'm pretty confident in that. And I think they already have done that against Seattle. They do play them for 3 more games, but they've already won, I want to say, 6 of 7 against Seattle, and they've only won 2 of 3 against Texas. So they have Texas for 7 more games. They have Seattle for 3 more, I think. So hopefully we'll be able to do well there. In fact, the schedule now lightens up, and it's very favorable heading into the postseason. Of course, I think it's important to beat teams that you'll be facing or seeing at some point in the postseason, which the Astros have not been able to do. There has been some injuries. I don't usually like to use it as an excuse, but you've had Springer in and out of the lineup. Bregman is finally back, but he was on the IL. Altuve is still on the IL. Brantley was on the IL. Of course, Verlander has been on the IL ever since his opening day start. Osuna is out for the year. So you have dealt with a lot. The bullpen is very shaky. Starting rotation, really, it's been a musical chairs sort of for the entire starting rotation and the bullpen. It's just been people going in and out, in and out. We've had like 15 people make their major league debuts this year. It's just been a very odd, injury-fulfilled. I don't want to use that as an excuse. Good teams can work through their injuries, still find a way to win games. So I'm not going to use it. The Astros are not a very good team right now. It's just that simple. I think that the schedule does lighten up. They're actually a game under 500. I'll pull out my phone here, and we have this discussion every week about whether the phone works or not. But hopefully we won't have any issues. The Astros are 23 and 24. They're in second place. They're not going to catch Oakland. They're 6.5 back of Oakland. But they've played 47 games, 23 and 24. So they have 13 games remaining. You're not catching Oakland. The goal at this point will be to hold serve in second place. And they're only a game and a half up on Seattle, which they do play coming up here for 3 games. Not this week. I think it's next week. But As I look at the schedule, and I will talk about the games this past week, I just wanted to sort of get this out of the way to start. So you'll play Texas for 3. That's an easy, winnable series. Arizona for 3. Arizona, who we lost to a 3-2 earlier this year, they have really not played good baseball. In fact, just to sort of prove that to you, their record, if the standings will pop up here, they are 17-31, last place in the NL West. So that pretty much tells you everything you need to know about Arizona. So that's what you got this coming week. 2 very winnable series. Then you play Seattle for 3, and then you round out the season with Texas for 4. So you really should win all of those series if you do so. If I do some quick math here, 2, 4, 6, 9 wins, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 losses. 9 and actually 4 losses. 9 and 4, which would put them right at 33-27, which is exactly the record I want them to have at the end of the season. 33-27 will make me feel good about myself, for the Astros' sake, that is. 33-27, which is 6 games over 500, which isn't spectacular, but the goal for the Astros is to get that and try to be as healthy as you possibly can going into the postseason. I think that's key for the Astros. So, bullpen, still an issue. It's weird because, I talked to you and I talked about the offense sort of doing their part against LA last Sunday and how the pitching and the bullpen couldn't really hold up their end of the bargain. This 5-game series was almost the opposite because runs seemed so hard to come by, and I felt like the pitching was actually pretty decent. But I will go through these games for you. Always have to use this at-bat app to re-jog my memory. Of course, I watch every single game, but when you ask me to recall things from multiple days ago, sometimes that's hard. So, yeah, usually if I see a box score, quick score update, things sort to pop back into my mind of what I remember from that game. So, anyway, so I got my calendar here and my at-bat app, and it's loading as usual. So, as I wait for this to load, see if I can talk about a few things. Like I said, Bregman is back in the lineup, so really all we're waiting on is Altuve to sort of round out the lineup. I do not want to see at-bats ever again from 2 people in the lineup. Abraham Toro and Jack Mayfield have been complete disappointments from a hitting standpoint. You could throw Josh Reddick into the mix as well, but that's been like that for more than 2 years now, and that's just never going to change until the end of this year when he's a free agent. And there's no way that they'll re-sign him. I mean, there's no possible way. They do need outfielders. Don't get me wrong. I mean, Miles Straw and Kyle Tucker are the only guys that will be under team control after this year. But Springer's a free agent. Brantley and Reddick are all free agents. Hopefully they can get one of those 3 back, and then we'll see what else the market has to offer with other outfielders. But that would sort of be the goal, and it wouldn't be Reddick. It would be either Springer or Brantley. That's one of the 3, or one of the 2, I'd say you want to try to get back. Brantley might be more feasible than Springer. I feel like some team's going to offer him a lot of money, and the Astros won't be able to match it. So, and you still have to pay. Well, I mean, it's really between Springer. You can choose who you want to break the bank with between Springer and Correa, either or really. Of course, you can't give Springer as long a deal as you would possibly give Correa because there's a huge age difference. So, but one of those guys will be sort of the 3rd and final guy they really break the bank to keep around after they've signed, of course, Altuve and Bregman to big deals. Not long years. I think they're both 5 years, but 120. I know Bregman's making $100 million. And yeah, I think Altuve's making $150 million. So So Altuve's making $30 million a year, Bregman $25 million a year. That's about right, but Altuve just needs to get back in the lineup at this point, so that's what we're waiting on with Altuve. But anyway, back to the Oakland series. This thing finally loaded. So anyway, on Monday, like I talked about, the Astros get shut out. They don't score a run. Really never even threatened to score a run. They did have 7 hits, but their hits weren't anything special. It just seemed like they were never going to score in this game. Christian Javier, who pitched very well, but he gets the loss because if you can't score runs, you can't win the game, obviously. He goes 5 innings, 3 hits, 2 runs, both of them earned, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts, did allow a home run. But the ERA there was at 3.38 after the start. And, I mean, Javier, who sort of filled in for Verlander, was brought into the rotation when Verlander got hurt. He's actually done pretty well. Had a few tough games, but other than that, I think you have to be satisfied with what he's offered. He's actually back in the bullpen now, as Urquidy's now back in the rotation, so he's there. And they're also, I talked about Lance McCullers going on the IL. They brought in Luis Garcia, another guy that made his major league debut, to sort of fill that Lance McCullers role. McCullers is actually back and healthy now. In fact, I think he's starting tomorrow. So now you have sort of surplus of starters, not great options, but people like Javier, Brandon Belak, and Josh James, who all were in the rotation at some point this year, are all in the bullpen now. So you have bullpen arms that can give you long relief. And let's not forget about Brad Peacock, who's also in that bullpen. So you have a lot of options if you need long relief. But bottom line, I think our starters need to go more. I mean, obviously, if you're giving up runs and you just don't have it, you have to go to the bullpen for that. But I want to see a starter get really stretched out. We talked about Valdez pitching a lot, getting a lot of work and pitching a lot of innings, which he has. The pitch count for Valdez has been, well over the 100s, I feel like, for a number of starts. I need to see some of these other guys. I know you want to be careful with McCullers, rightfully so. But Greinke needs to be up there. Urquidy should be getting there. Luis Garcia, we don't know. He hasn't pitched enough to really give you... I mean, he had a good start in Oakland, which I'll get to in a minute here, but I need to see our starters, especially with the bullpen, sort of not trusting a lot of guys. I need to see our starters go a little deeper in ball games, I feel like. So we'll see. I mean, that's a Dusty Baker decision there, so we'll wait and see what transpires over the next 2 weeks of baseball here. But yeah, considering I don't trust a lot of people in the bullpen, I'd probably rather see our starter go out there and try to get through another inning, even if his pitch count is up near 100. I mean, there's no more excuses. We're a month and a half into the season. These pitchers should be at full strength. But Javier came in, goes to 5 innings. CNL Perez, 2/3 of an inning. I've actually been okay with CNL. I don't have a lot of issues with him. But Scrub comes in, gives up a run in an inning and a third of work there. ERA at 1.06 for Scrub. CNL was at 1.80, 1.80, and as I mentioned with Javier, 3.38. And then Cy Snead gets an out, but allows 3 hits and 3 earned runs. Cy Snead is just... he's in that Davinsky-Biagini category. It's just that simple. Cy Snead has been a complete and utter disappointment this year. I'm sick and tired of seeing... I feel like Dusty Baker has used Cy Snead a lot more than I would have expected. It's just... it's crazy to me, but his ERA is at 6. But he's a waste of time and doesn't help. He hurts the team. So, and I'll talk about Cy Snead a little bit more because I think he pitched in a few more games here this week. But I mean, they kept it close for a while. Snead really put it out of reach. 6-0 was the final. But yeah, 3-0. The offense just wasn't there. I think there were 7 hits. At least 6 of them were singles. So, as my phone often does here. But they lose at 6-0. So yes, Tuesday's the doubleheader day. First game they lose, of course. They actually win the second game, which felt like a miracle. Felt really good to actually win a game because Oakland's been so tough against them this year. But this won't even pull up now. This is frustrating when I'm trying to do this. But they go 1-1 against Oakland here. Stupid phone. In fact, after I finish this podcast, I'm actually going to the Apple Store to figure out. My phone's cracked pretty badly, and of course the issues I've had with it. So I'm actually going to the Apple Store after this to try to get this fixed. But this won't even pop up right now. I try to go back under Wi-Fi. Sorry for the wait here, but I don't even have the Wi-Fi. I'm just turning the Wi-Fi off for now and see if this will work here. Just sits and loads and loads. Quick breakdown though. Here we go. So they lose the first one 4-2.
Chris Bassett making his 8th start of the season, and coincidentally has been 8 days since
this. Whoever decided to put videos on this thing, especially when I don't even when I don't even press the play button, is also an idiot, because that's not good. I hate hearing these videos start to play when I don't even ask them to be played. But they lose the first game 4-2. They win the second game, I believe, 5-4. The first game, it was more of the same. Couldn't really score. I wish I could give you the pictures, but I can't even think of them off the top of my head right now. Let's see if this will work. Alright, I'm going to try a different route here, and we'll just go backwards. See if this works on Tuesday. So they lose the first game 4-2, which I'll get to in a minute if this ever loads. The second game they were down 4-0. I know Scott Olsen hit a big 3-run home run. This was off of, I think Chase DeYoung got the start. It was sort of a bullpen game, the second game here. And I know I'll backtrack here in a minute, but Chase DeYoung was not good. Not good at all. We were down 4-0, so it looked real bad. The Astros do come back. They were helped. Yasmiro Petit struggled to throw strikes out of the bullpen when he was in a bases loaded spot. And there was a bases loaded hit by pitch, and there was 2 bases loaded walks, which scored 3 runs for the Astros. So that wasn't really on them. That was more on the inability of the A's Yasmiro Petit to throw strikes. And then Springer did have an infield single, which tied the game at 4. And then, as this is now loaded, they also score a run here in the, let's see here, a sac fly, Yuli Gurriel sac fly, which gave them the lead 5-4. So they're able to salvage a game in that doubleheader. That was the second game. But yeah, DeYoung started. Peacock came in, got 2/3. Scoreless baseball there. That was good to see. Brooks Raley goes an inning and 2/3. He was good. Paredes got 2 outs. He walked 2, so gave up a hit. So that's sort of what Paredes is, but didn't allow a run, so he got out of it. And then Presley got the save, getting up a hit. Also struck out a batter, but he got his 8th save there. So good to get a game, but to backtrack to the early game, they lose it 4-2. They were down 2-0. They actually tie the game on a, let's see, it was a, this thing's trying to load. Brantley hit a 2-run home run to tie it at 2 after Oakland was already up 2-0. But Robbie Grossman hit a RBI single, and Chris Davis an RBI double, which made it 4-2. This was a game started by Zach Greinke, who went 6 innings, but not very good. 7 hits, 4 runs, all of them earned. Struck out 6, walked 1. ERA 3.27. So he's been pretty good, but this was not a good start. And then the Sunday start, which I'll get to here in just a little bit, was not good either. Castellanos came in. He actually got a scoreless inning, but allowed a hit and a walk. 7.45 ERA for him, so he's not a guy that's going to stay up here. In fact, I don't think he's up here now, but he's been sort of back and forth between AAA and the big leagues. That is Humberto Castellanos. So there's that. But yeah, so those two games, it just felt good to split that doubleheader. The Astros, 2-5 this week, and the two games they won, they actually stole. Saturday was another game they stole. They stole this one down 4-0 to come back to win 5-4, and they were helped by the Athletics. 3 of their RBIs, 2 of them were on hit by pitch or walks, and 1 was on a hit by pitch. So there's that. The Thursday game, let's see here. Or the Wednesday game. I've only gone through 3. This was a 5-game series. So they lose Wednesday and Thursday, of course. The only game they won was the second half of the doubleheader. And this phone does not want to load. Extremely hard to do this podcast, this part of the podcast, when my phone doesn't want to work. So I'm hoping these issues get settled. And every podcast coming up here will be a lot smoother. This one is on the rough side, so I apologize for that. Wednesday was a close game, 3-2. They lose it. Luis Garcia got the start here, and the Astros actually, so I'm not even looking at this, but things are starting to come back to me. Luis Garcia started this game and actually pitched pretty well, and the Astros were up 2-0. I think they scored a run on a sac fly. I know Gurriel hit a home run. So they had a 2-0 lead late in the game, but it felt not too good. Sure enough, Kyle Tucker actually cost them the game here. But there was a fly ball with 2 outs. Runners on first and second, I believe. And who's pitching at this point? I can't answer this phone call. Someone's trying to call me. I'm not going to answer this. But first of all, so Garcia goes 5 innings. He only allowed 1 hit. Struck out 4, walked 2. He will get another start. I don't know when, but they're not taking him out of the rotation right now. But Andre Scrub actually, let's see here. Who gives up the runs? So there was 1 by CNL Perez, and there was 1 by Josh James. Surprise, surprise, Josh James. That dude's terrible. But there was a play in the outfield, I remember, where there was runners on first and second. There was 2 outs. Who was pitching it? It had to be Josh James at this point, I believe, who I have no faith in to begin with. But, yeah, it was Josh James. Tommy La Stella, who formerly of the Angels, got traded at the deadline to the A's, hits one to left field. Kyle Tucker's coming in on. He sort of slides feet first, and he just whiffs at the ball. Like it wasn't like the ball hit part of his glove. I don't know why he didn't catch it, but he was there, and there was no reason not to catch it. Now he did slide feet first, but he missed it. It rolled into foul territory around the Astros bullpen. 2 runs scored, and that tied it. And looking at the replay, Tucker was there, and he just whiffed at the ball coming down. He just whiffed. It's just that simple. And he said after the game he should have had it. So, I mean, but that was tough to see because now it's tied. Lamorne, and then they walk it off. The A's do in the bottom of the 9th with a RBI single by Ramon Laureano off of Ryan Presley. And like I said, Presley's been very up and down. It's hard to know. But I've also said you have to ride with Presley in the 9th inning as your closer. That's the state the Astros are in. But that's another tough game to lose. So they're close in these games. They're just not getting timely hitting. They're not getting outs in the bullpen when they need to. It's just one of those things. You want to see some sign of being competitive in these games. Because I think at the season end of the day, they'd actually play Oakland in a 3-game series in Oakland, which would not be favorable for the Astros. But again, if you want to be the best, you got to beat the best, and the Astros are far from that as we talk right now. and they lose on Thursday. They were up 1. This is another heartbreaking game. So they're up 2-0, 2-0 on Wednesday, and let that slip away and lose 3-2. And then in this game, they were up 1-0, which isn't a safe lead, but Urquidy and... God, who were they facing? Urquidy against... Let's see here. Every time I go back or try to go to a new page on this app, everything freezes and just loads and loads. Let me think. I think they were facing Sean Manaea. That sounds right. And they were matching each other pitch from pitch. The Astros finally got an RBI, or a leadoff double by Josh Reddick. Then there was a base hit after that put runners at first and third with nobody out. And Maldonado grounded into a double play, which gave the Astros the lead but also killed the inning. But at that point, getting a run was so big. But they finally get a run. Urquidy was very good in this game. I have to go to... Let's see here. I gotta wait for this to load, of course. But Matt Olson got to him again. Getting the lead for the first time, like in the 6th, 7th inning, felt good. Urquidy's still out there. He's blowing him away, or at least getting outs. This game was actually a fast-moving game. The Astros have played some long games this year, but this was the opposite. They were actually through 5 innings, seemed like at the 1 hour point, 1.5 hours, and they were just quickly up and down, 3 up, 3 down, 3 up, 3 down. Like I said, back and forth, Manaea and Urquidy finally get the run on the double play hit by Maldonado, but then Olson ties it up with a home run the bottom half of the inning, so your lead of 1 run did not last that long, as I still wait for this to load. Still wait for this to load. All I know is we lost this game 3-1. And Urquidy came in. He did struggle, but he was so good for the first 6 innings or whatever it was. And then we scored our 1 run, allowed them to tie it, allowed them to take the lead, and we lost. And just baseball's not real fun for me right now. Watching the Astros. This was an important series for the Astros. At least take 3 of 5, and to take only 1 of 5 and to lose the way they did, it's just a lot of remembrance of the old Astros that would lose 100 games a year and blow game after game after game. The games they actually rarely, but the games they had leads in, they couldn't hold those. But they actually gave up 2 runs in that 6th inning. I believe it was a 2-run home run by Matt Olson. It was, and then Pender got an RBI single to give them a run of insurance, and they closed it out. But Urquidy, even though he got the loss, 6 innings, 2 runs, both earned, 3 strikeouts, 1 walk, only 2 hits, was very good. Hopefully continues to get better. Andre Scrub allows another earned run, so he's been not as good lately. Peacock gets an out, and then Belak gets an inning. They were both scoreless in the 7th and 8th innings, that is. But yeah, Scrubs has given up some runs in his last few outings, so we'll be looking for him to bounce back next time he gets in. Belak has fallen off a cliff. He's been out of the rotation for a while. And now Javier is also out of the rotation, as they give Luis Garcia a chance to prove himself. So but Saturday was the second game they stole after the off day Friday. They were down 5-2 in the 9th inning, and then they sparked a rally. This was off Kenley Jansen, who Jansen's a weird closer. Like, there was a good 3, 4, 5 year stretch where he was one of those dominant closers in baseball, but since he hasn't really been that good. I mean, in 17, he was he had to be good for him. And Dodgers won 104 games back in 2017, so I would imagine he was pretty good that year. We actually got to him in the World Series a few times. The Marwin Gonzalez game-tying, Game 2 home run. Bregman had that walk-off single off of him in Game 5. Bregman hit a home run in Game 4, even though they lost that game off of Jansen. But Jansen's been up and down. I mean, he really struggled, I think, in 2018 they haven't really found another guy that they like to use, but we did all of our damage in this game off of Jansen in the 9th inning. We were down 5-2. We did score first, but nothing really after that. And Chris Taylor hit a home run, and they scored some runs. But bottom line, it was 5-2. This is Saturday's game. In the 9th inning, we start to get a rally going. I can actually explain it to you here if will let me get to it here. But yeah, we do score early on an RBI single by Yuli Gurriel, but Chris Taylor, the Dodgers, hits a 2-run home run. Kike Hernandez hit a home run. AJ Pollock had a sac fly, and Corey Seager had an RBI single. And it was 5-1 Dodgers. Yuli Gurriel had another RBI fielder's choice, but we score in the 9th on a 2-run double. Reddick hits a 2-run double. When he does that, there's nobody out. Runners on first and second or whatever it was, or second and third, first, I don't know. But the 2-run double gave me confidence because now you got a runner at second and nobody out and you're down a run. So I feel at this point you should at least tie. But it was sort of past the baton. The line kept moving, base hits, runners getting on base. Springer tied the game on a fielder's choice, but then Bregman had an RBI single, and Gurriel had a sac fly, and you're up 7-5. Presley is able to close the door. Does give up a leadoff base hit to Bellinger, but the next hitter, do not necessarily remember who it was, but I know he hits into a double play. Then Presley gives up a double, but does get out of it. Your box score there with the pitching. I want to say Valdez pitched in this game. I think I'm pretty sure on that. As I pull up the box score, and of course it wants to load again, so give me a second here. Valdez was not great. In fact, Valdez hasn't been that great his last few starts, so he needs to pick it back up. In fact, yeah, 5 innings, 5 earned runs, 7 strikeouts, walked a hitter, and ERA is now over 4 at 4.08, so Fromber needs to bounce back. Only threw 82 pitches, so back down. Castellanos gets through an inning, giving up 2 hits, but also striking out the side. Cianel Perez gets 2/3, gets 2 outs. Josh James an inning and a third, and then Presley gets the save. But Fromber gave up all those runs, so everybody else in the bullpen actually did their job. Although the bullpen never makes it easy, I feel like even when they have innings where they don't give up runs, they sort of put runners on base and never make it an easy outing. So a lot of our pitchers do that. But just good to get the win. When the Astros won the game in Oakland, came back and won, good to get the win, but this needs to lead to something changing, as in a momentum shift, something like that. Obviously that didn't happen because they lost their next 2 games. And this was the same way. When you come back and win, it has to lead to something. That's what I kept telling myself. This win needs to shift momentum and give the Astros confidence to win, continue to win games. And they got killed on Sunday, so once again, didn't matter. Off day yesterday was probably much needed. Come back home, clear your brain, and now you have 14 or 12 games left? I don't know, 13 games left, where you really got to do your damage here because you have the favorable schedule. But they lose 8-1. I won't even get into this game. We never really had a chance, as Greinke was not good in this game. He gave up. Let's see here. In 5 innings, he gave up 5 earned runs, so just like Valdez. Javier did get a scoreless inning. Brooks Raley gave up 2 earned runs. This was the game Javier came in at, so he got, Javier might be pretty decent out of the bullpen. His ERA is at 3.22, but Greinke's balloons all the way to 3.77. Isn't terrible, but also not great. So that's where Greinke is. And then Cy Snead gets an out, but allows a run. Cy Snead again. I said I'd bring him back up. Yeah, I don't know why we saw him in the game. The game was out of reach at that point, so that's probably why you saw him in the game. But he gets an out and gives up an earned run, and it was a home run. And Cy Snead, yeah, he's right in the same boat when it comes to the way I feel about Davinsky and Biagini. Cy Snead has just completely been just an utter disappointment. Doesn't deserve to pitch, period. I could tear him to pieces, but I'm not going to do that. I did a lot of that last week, so I'm not going to do that this week. But yeah, that wraps it up. So 23-24 the week there. Well, overall 23-24 that is. Hopefully they can bounce back. Like I said, 9-3. You know, you got 3 with Texas and 3 with Arizona. You got to go 4-2 in these 2 series. You got to win these series, and then you'll come back home to face Seattle. Or wait, no, you'll be in Seattle. We'll be in Seattle for 3. You got to take 2 or 3 there, and then 3 or 4 to wrap up the season. And Texas would put them right at 33-27, and I'd be more than satisfied with that. And that will bring them into the postseason. Hopefully, Altuve, Verlander come back. Those are the 2 guys they'll definitely need if they want to make any noise in the postseason. And it won't be easy because even if they win these games, which I expect them to, they should. Win these series. They haven't beaten good teams this year. Not consistently. So I'll have no faith. I mean, I have a little bit of faith if Altuve and Verlander get back in the rotation, but rotation for Verlander, just back in the everyday lineup for Altuve. But I mean, the people you have to roll with, like I said, I want to see more length out of our starters. There's no excuses. We're more than a month and a half into baseball now. But bridging the gap to Presley, it's a tough task for our bullpen pitchers. I really wish we had Will Harris, and I think that obviously Jeff Luhnow's not here, and neither is A.J. Hinch. But if they were, and they were managing, calling the shots for this team, I bet they would miss Will Harris quite a bit right now because he was that one consistent guy in the bullpen that would do the job for you 95 to 99% of the time. He would get outs. He would strike guys out. He'd get you out of jams. He could pitch 7th inning, 8th inning, and of course you had Osuna. Also had Presley. If Presley wasn't our closer, he would be probably pretty decent in our 7th, 8th inning role. But the bullpen's a mess, and you have to roll with people like Anoli Paredes and Andre Scrub. And I haven't seen Blake Taylor. One thing I wanted to mention, I don't know if he's hurt or what, but I feel like I haven't seen Blake Taylor, and he's the 3rd guy. Although these options aren't, shut down, this guy's going to close it down type people. The people I have the most faith in would be Blake Taylor, Enoli Paredes, and Andre Scrub. And Scrub's given up 2 runs in his last 2 outings, so he hasn't been that great either. And Blake Taylor was also falling off a little bit, but I don't know what happened to Taylor, if he went on the IL or what. I just feel like I haven't seen him in a while. But those are the 3 guys that you're going to need to be good to bridge that gap. So we'll wait and see. But yeah, that bullpen is just full of guys that Cy Snead, Chris Davinsky, they finally let go of Biagini. Thank you, God, for that. But Josh James, I'm okay with Peacock. I'm okay with Cianel Perez. I really am. In that bullpen, I'm okay with those guys. Who's the other lefty? They had a 3rd lefty, Brooks Raley. Even Brooks Raley really isn't that good either. So, but yeah, it comes down to Blake Taylor, Anoli Paredes, and Andre Scrub. They have to be those 3 guys that can find a way to bridge the gap to get to Presley in games you lead. And it will be important here. But Texas, obviously a team I want to beat bad. So we'll be trying to do that. And but 33-27, I'm going to stick with that sort of line that they need to reach to go into the postseason feeling okay. I am coming up on almost 40 minutes, so I went a little long, so I'll wrap things up here in just a minute. But that's where I'm at. I've covered pretty much everything. So again, like the video, share it with your friends. Love to hear your thoughts, of course. But I'll talk to you next week before I can't tell you the exact day. I know they have games. I think today was their last off day. So, but I'll find a way to get to you, whether it's Sunday, Monday. It obviously won't be Tuesday like today is, but it will be Sunday, Monday, and I'll talk to you then. And yeah, we'll wrap things up there, and we'll see you next time. But again, real quick, sorry. All that good stuff on YouTube. Like the video, share it with your friends, leave comments, and I'd love to hear your thoughts, of course. and I'll definitely respond to any responses if they're warranted. So thanks again, and yeah, we'll talk to you next time.